Saturn in Leo. In this video, I'm going to be discussing Saturn in Leo, everything you need to know about having Saturn in Leo, and how to truly master this placement, okay? Now, before I begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button if you've liked my previous videos and you want to be notified for my future videos, all right? Help me grow the channel. And, all right, let's discuss Saturn in Leo. Now, when you have Saturn in Leo, this is similar to having Saturn in the fifth house. So what this means is that you need to study Saturn in the fifth house as well, because Leo rules the fifth house. So even if you have your Saturn in another house, that's fine. That information applies to you as well. But it's also very important for you to study Saturn in the fifth house. That information is very important, and it applies to your life the same way. Okay? Now, this person, in order to mature and become a true adult, they have to master what Leo represents. All right. Saturn is all about what you need to do to mature and become a true adult, what you need to master. All right. And let's talk about what Leo represents. So, you have to master being creative and expressive. You have to master being a competitor, being a star, being a performer, being romantic and engaging in romantic affairs, being a leader. Okay, so this is what has to be mastered: being creative and expressive, being a competitor, being a star and a performer, being romantic and engaging in romantic affairs, and being a leader. These have to be mastered in order to master what Leo represents and mature and become a true adult. All right. Now, this person, when living out Saturn and Leo in a healthy way, okay, so this is when Saturn and Leo is being expressed in a healthy way. You master romance and you master dating and love. You're a generous leader and you take being a leader seriously. You take your hobbies serious. You take your children and being a parent serious. Okay, so this is when Saturn and Leo is being expressed in a healthy way. You master romance, you master dating and love. You're a generous leader. You take being a leader serious. You take your hobby serious, and you take your children and being a parent serious. Okay? Now, this person, when living out Saturn and Leo in a negative way, you're afraid to be creative and express yourself out of fear of not being liked. You're overly concerned with getting your father's approval. There are hardships, limitations, and pain associated with your romantic affairs and children. Okay, so this is when we see Saturn and Leo expressed in a negative way. You're afraid to be creative. You're afraid that people won't like you, or people won't like what your creative abilities. You're afraid that people won't accept you. You're overly concerned with the father's approval. You just have to get your father's approval, even if you won't admit it. And there are hardships, limitation, and pain associated with your romantic affairs and with your children, okay? So this is when we see Saturn and Leo in a negative way. So you have to make sure that you're operating at the highest level and you don't want this to be your life, okay? Now, there are fears and insecurities surrounding, okay, because Saturn, it tells you what your fears and insecurities are. So there are fears and insecurities surrounding the ability to creatively express yourself, getting the father's approval, your children, your leadership skills, and dating and romantic affairs. So you have to overcome fears and insecurities that surround these matters. You have to overcome fears and insecurities surrounding creatively expressing yourself, getting your father's approval, your children, your leadership skills, and your dating and romantic affairs. You have to overcome your fears and insecurities surrounding these matters. Now, the father is seen as Saturn tells you your view of your father and how you saw him. So you saw your father as a man that is generous, creative, and loves romance and dating. You saw him as a man that is proud. As you saw him as a man that is proud with a lot of ego. Okay, so this is how you saw your dad. You saw him as generous, creative. He loves to date. He loves romance, and he's proud. He's a proud man, and he has a lot of ego. Okay, that's how you saw your father. Celebrity example that also has Saturn in Leo: Floyd Mayweather, Hillary Clinton, Kanye West, and Ted Bundy. Now, with Floyd Mayweather, how we see this is he absolutely needed his father's approval. His father was the main one who trained him and helped him become such a successful boxer, and that was his driving, motivating force, is he wanted his father to accept him and give him that approval. You're a great boxer. You did a good job. Hillary Clinton, how we see this with her is that she had that inner drive to become a leader, okay? And you see this also with her too, because Leo is associated with being in leadership positions. Saturn, you have to master being a leader. And you see that it was very important to her to become in a position of authority. And it was very important, especially because she's a woman. Like, she was just very, she wanted to, you see, let's go back to the fears and insecurity things. There's fears and insecurities surrounding the leadership skills. So with her, you see, is it was very important to her to overcome that. Like, I can be a great leader. Why can't I be a leader? Why can't I be in a leadership position? So this is how you see that with Hillary Clinton, is she wanted to overcome her insecurities surrounding being a leader. Now with Kanye West, we see this because he absolutely has fears and insecurities surround his creative abilities, because he would just put out music that wasn't even good. He would put out music that wasn't even good. He would hate on other artists because he had fears and insecurities surrounding his music. And he knew that it got to a point where his music wasn't that good. So he would actually hate on other artists and hinder other artists' careers. Now with Ted Bundy, we see this because there was fears and there's insecurities surrounding his dating and romantic affairs. He didn't feel he wasn't a secure man. He didn't feel good about himself. This is why he would take his insecurities out on these women and hurt these women, and he became a known serial killer for taking out his anger and frustrations out on women, okay? So this is why I said there are hardships, limitations, and pain associated with your romantic affairs. He didn't feel good about romantic affairs. It was associated with negativity with him, okay? So that's Saturn and Leo. I hope this video provided some value into your life. I hope you learned something. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like, share, comment down below. Let me know what you think, and take care.